Early in the morning, one of our chicks tries out its new wings, followed by some breakfast. Welcome back to the 2021 Nest Box series. We're following Mindy and Mork raising their brood of 6 chicks. In this episode, we see the chicks are finding their voice more and more. Their colour pigmentation is coming through really well, and you can start to see by the end of the video their plumage coming together. And as these little chicks grow, so does their appetite. You can see Mindy here hopping from chick to chick with some food in the mouth, but not releasing the food, and trying to find out which chick is hungriest. This is a technique that I sometimes see the parents doing. And as I said, it's thought to be a technique to find out which chick is the hungriest and in most need of a feed. As the hungriest chick will really snatch at the food and gobble it down as quickly as possible, where one that has only just been fed might take its time. And you can see that chick being fed by Mork a big mouthful of some insect of some sort. He waits to see if any Fecal-Sacs are coming his way, but no, not right now. And just look at the yellow plumage coming through in these chicks' breasts. Mindy is in feeding them here, and they do produce a Fecal-Sac, and you can see the tail feathers also growing with some plumage also. Lovely. And thankfully I'm happy to say that these chicks' growing appetite is being matched by Mindy's and Mork's growing effort. With loads of live food being brought in, and also it seems to be being supplemented with some suet balls or fat balls that's being found in a garden elsewhere. I generally don't feed anything in the garden that may be fed to the chicks. Other than live food, that is. But it doesn't seem like these fat balls are doing any harm at all to these chicks. If anything, it looks like it's helping them prosper. But a word of warning, if you are going to plan to put suet or fat balls out for chicks, make sure they're good quality. We can see the chicks here reacting to a car engine. And it really goes to show that these chicks are still just reacting from external stimuli such as the change in light or noise. It seems to be the main one, as their eyes are only just starting to open. When first hatched, their eyes are not fully developed and they can't really see. I would guess that they can distinguish light from dark, but that would be about it. And as their growth progresses, then their eyes are able to develop. And eventually we'll see the chicks actually pointing towards the parents when they're gape, and not just straight up in the air in any direction and in hope that the parent is there. And that is what will tell us when the chicks are starting to use their eyes. We see Mork arriving with some food here, also followed by Mindy. And Mindy decides to do some cleaning of the nest. As we do see the Fecal-Sacs being produced by the chicks while the parents are there, some are produced when they're not there, obviously. It's not a perfect system, and you can see she goes rooting through the nest here, and then eventually finds one and takes it away with her. And in the next sequence, we see a chick starting to preen itself again. Those pin feathers are going to start forming into feathers. And good maintenance of feathers means the feathers will be kept in top notch. As good feathers mean that these birds will be able to fly the best they can. Very important if they're trying to evade a sparrowhawk. So very vital to keep them in top notch and getting good habits early. And if you look closely there, you can actually see the 7th egg that never hatched. And it will pretty much stay there and keep knocking about until all the chicks leave. And when I'm cleaning out the nest box, I'll be sure to take a wee look at it. And I'll also take that opportunity to show you guys the scale of it, if it's still there, that is. And not broken, of course. And just look at this guy's feathers in the next sequence there at the edge. Those pin feathers are really starting to elongate and become feathers. And more comes in with a huge insect for that chick. But we all know what a big mouthful of food is going to produce. I don't even think I have to say it anymore. And if you listen out, you hear the first proper juvenile chick call. That louder chirp is what the chicks do when they're out of the nest and when they're getting a lot bigger. And over the coming videos, you're going to start hearing that a whole lot more and start hearing the lesser, little softer chirps a whole lot less. Just listen to all the softer chirps now. All the chicks at this point are starting to find their voice. And this would be a beckoning call to the parents to ask for a feed. So on the end of the first, Mindy is still roosting with the chicks. They would be able to regulate their own body heat to a certain extent now. So Mindy is finding herself out looking for food more often during the day, and has pretty much stopped brooding the chicks during the day and only at night to keep them warm through the night. And we see the chicks here in the second getting some breakfast just around 5 o'clock. It looks to be some of the suet or fat from the feeder from that garden. And we see the chicks have developed even further overnight. I always find, as I've said before, that they seem to grow quite a lot over the night. And especially if you look at their breast and neck while they gape, you can see that yellowed plumage is really starting to come through. It never ceases to amaze me just how wonderful it is to see these chicks growing. And indeed how fast they grow. We can see Mindy here trying to determine which chick is the hungriest, and she eventually finds one. And Mork is then straight in to help feed also. And we get a nice shot of all of them in the box. And there's our happy family. I saw in the comments of someone asking, why are the chicks' beaks so different to the parents'? And that's a really good question. And the answer is relatively simple. The chicks' beaks are designed like that with what looks like lips on the side of their beaks to make their mouth as big as possible so it's easy for them to be fed. This makes a bigger target for the parents to be able to put in chicks, and it's also an extra incentive. The wider the mouth, the more food and the more likely the parent will give food to that chick. And as the chick grows after fledging, the beak will slowly turn into the parent's beak. And the Bluetit's beak is perfect for collecting small insects and caterpillars off trees and shrubs. And that's why their beak is like that. Where if you look at a finch's beak, it's quite thick as it needs to eat a lot of seeds. But Bluetits are mainly insectivores during the rest of the year. They will eat peanuts off a feeder relatively, but their preference is live prey such as insects, as that is mainly their ecological niche. We see quickly here that the chicks are preening even more now. And now they actually have some feathers to preen. And over the next few videos it is really going to be amazing the change in these little chicks. And in fact that these were just little teeny red blobs just a few days ago. Mindy and Mork are really doing a wonderful job. A nice green caterpillar being brought in there and quickly gobbled up by one of the chicks. And you can see Mindy here bringing in some suet or fat from the fat balls along with a caterpillar also, and she shares it out among the chicks she thinks is hungriest. These chicks really are living their best life. So let's take another look at the chick's wings as we get a good look. You can actually see the feathery part starting to form on those flight feathers on the wing. They weren't there just yesterday. Fantastic stuff. I also had a question in the comments of how did Mindy and Mork deal with the rain in the previous videos where it was detrimental to Biddy and Miley. Well, the fact was it didn't rain as much for Mindy and Mork. For Biddy and Miley, it was torrential rain for a couple of days. It really didn't let up. And Bluetit seem to be able to deal with short bits of rain, but once there's dry weather where they can go out and actively hunt for food effectively, they seem to be able to get by. And we see a chick here stretching and preening yet again. Lovely to see their self-awareness becoming more and more in these videos. And the food and the growing didn't stop on the second, it continued on as so, with loads of fat or suet being brought in from the feeder along with plenty of live prey, which produced plenty of fecal-sacs. And on that note, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you all so much for watching as always. I really do love interacting with you all, and please give us a like and subscribe if you haven't, and please leave a comment. And I'll leave you with the last sequence of the day of feeding a fecal-sac and then them bedding down. So thanks as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.